Here we go. I'm Jonathan Reynolds. I'm your host here today, and my co-host is Ben Murphy, Vice President here at Titus Talent. Just want to thank everyone for coming and welcome you as well. You probably have come here today because you interacted with maybe Ben, myself, over the last couple of months, whether it be at conferences where you heard either of us speak, or you came to some other kind of live event that we were hosting or doing. Or maybe even you stopped by a booth at a trade show, or you stumbled across us and somebody said, you've got to go to this thing. Whatever the reason is, welcome here today. Just want to thank you. A little bit interactive here. Few things if you're not unfamiliar with this, or if you're driving in the car and multitasking. Right at the bottom of the screen, there's a Q&A button where you can actually put in your question that you have for us. Right in the middle of it, you're welcome to punch a question in there. We might even answer it right on the spot, or we might wait to the end. We'll see how things flow today. But in chat, if you wouldn't mind, on the little chat section, just tell so we can interact. Maybe you stumble across somebody like, oh, I'd like to reach out to that person. So what's your name? Where are you from? What you do? Maybe what your job title is. You can write that in chat. I will go first just to show you as an example. I'm Jonathan Reynolds, and I am in Chicago. I know my accent's not for Chicago, but and I'm with Titus, and my title is CEO. It's good to have you here. So you can write there. So people from Houston and a few other places here. Hey, a bunch of Michigan, Texans. All righty, keep gears going in here. It's nice to see who you are, where you're from. Really quickly on Titus Talent. Probably you heard myself or Ben, I was talking on the topic of the power of generosity, as it connects to retaining talent and growing your organizations, which is something I'm deeply passionate about. It's kind of a big reason of why we exist as a company. You may have heard Ben talk about high-performing teams and how all that works together. We often get done talking and people fill out forms and surveys at conferences we're at, and they say, I still don't understand, what does Titus do? Which it's always funny. To get done speaking and people don't know what we do, because we're not really talking about what Titus as a company does. So today we're going to unpack that a little bit more, a bit of a refresher of what each of us spoke on, and then we're going to leave you with a killer offer if you think maybe we can help you out. So talent acquisition and talent optimization are two things that we really do. We have a whole mission to disrupt the status quo and the way companies do people development and hiring. That is why we exist as an organization, and we love it. We've been around for a decade or so now, 170 salaried team members around the country, serving organizations with talent strategy. All right, let's get into some stuff here. So this topic, which I just kind of mentioned, the undeniable connection between giving, growth, and retention, is really a bit of a journey that we've gone on as an organization. Many organizations use anonymous surveys. We started doing some anonymous surveys, engagement surveys, and one of the areas that we found was that a lower score for our team members about 5 years back was meaning. Do I find a deep sense of meaning and purpose in what I do as Titus? And I'm thinking, I love what we do and why we do it. We're a for-profit, for-good organization, meaning we take our profits and portion of our profits to give back and transform communities for the greater good. And we serve the communities where our people are at, so 35 different states, and the passions that really our people and team members are really tied to. And in addition to that, what our clients and partners are passionate about and how they want to make the world a better place as well. So we're finding areas to give to. And I was thinking, isn't that enough? And so we went on a bit of a journey, exploration. I started digging into some research of what makes people tick and why do they do what they do. As some of you astute people here would recognize, my accent's not from the States, I'm from the UK. And I love America. I've been here 25 years, but everyone has options. Like, it's such a rich options culture in the States, meaning people can choose. People can choose where they shop, they can choose their friends, they can choose where they attend different events, they can choose where they go to work, which is actually unusual if you've traveled around the world. There's not as much freedom of choice But one of those big things, it means this whole war for talent we've been talking about for years is not going away. And it's definitely not going away for A players. Like, if you want to attract A players to your organization, and let's assume that everybody here considers themselves an A player. So if you want to attract A players, or you are an A player, you have more choice than others because you're more in demand. Many a company out there kind of do the post and pray, and it's not a bad way of hiring, but it might not be the best way to attract the best A players. So you've got to have an attraction strategy that goes after both, which Ben's going to cover a little bit in a bit. But this whole war for talent is like, who's got the most attractive culture? Your company culture. How do you tell people that story and make it attractive? So one of the things, if you heard me speak on this topic at any of these conferences, I probably about 10 different great leaders out there, quotes of how they built company cultures and some of the amazing ways they go about it. And I sum it up with this. My quote say, how do you show people that you value them more than showing them that you know what they value? I think Ben is amazing. He's one of my closest friends, and we've worked together, had a lot of fun together, and been a part of growing Titus together. We're at Inc. 5000, fastest growing for the 5th year in a row. We're a debt-free organization, and we're making a difference. We enjoy what we're doing, and we enjoy doing it together. To thank Ben, if I was to go and get him the finest box of Cuban cigars, he would look at me like, I don't really smoke cigars, and I don't enjoy that. Like, plus, I don't think that's very healthy for me. And why did you do this? You might like it, Jonathan, but I don't like it. And you probably feel a bit like, wow, you really don't know me. We've been working together for 10 years and you still don't know me. And it would make a little sinking feeling in his heart, and he'd feel like, maybe I'm not as close as we thought. That's a great example right there, how we in employment relationships, you don't show people that you really genuinely care because you don't care about what they care about. So one of the things that we've really unpacked here is, how do you retain great talent? Find out what they care about and sow into that. And we do this all the time. I understand. I love brand. I love marketing. And we've got your swag for your company logos. And we celebrate people's anniversary by branding them. We go, here, happy anniversary. Here's a t-shirt or a sweatshirt or a fleece or a zip up. And it happens to have our logo on it. Like, who is that about? You know, like, yes, we want to appreciate them. Yes, people want their swag for their company. Probably not their favorite thing in the world. When they want to go and dress up really nice and go out for an evening, they don't reach out to the company's marketing department and say, hey, I want to dress up really nice. Do you have any nice swag for me to wear? It's not just anything. We look at the priorities of these things. I think it's really important when you look at employee relationships, figuring out what they value most. And usually it's tied to their circle, the closest circles in their lives, their families. What do they care about? What are their kids? They got kids, dependents, they got significant others and spouses, things like that. What do their family unit does it look like? And what do they really care about there? What do they give their time and their talent and resources to outside of work? If you can figure out those things and actually take a portion of your company's profits and sow into those things, man, oh man, does that actually have an impact on heart connection. You value what I value. Brief story on this one. We have a team member. I was sort of doing the old, scrolling on social media one night earlier this year, and I saw something popped up, and I was like, oh, that's one of our team members. They're raising money for something. So I clicked on it to see what they were raising money for. And they're raising money for cystic fibrosis. I didn't know anything about cystic fibrosis, but I thought, oh, it's important to them. What's their goal? And their goal was $1,000. Now, we have a fund at Titus, the Titus Catalyst Fund, and it's money that we put aside for the things that our team members care about. So I'm like, oh, easy. Hit the button, the number, and hit $1,000. Didn't think much of it. And I got this wonderful email from this team member, and they said, wow, thank you so much, Jonathan. That's really kind of you, and can't believe we hit our goal already. But I have to say this, it's blown me away. And I was like, oh, that felt so good hearing that appreciation. I hit it again and doubled it. It's like it's like a drug. I was like, oh, that was great. Hit the thing. Didn't think much of it. I thought, oh, if it really blesses them and meaningful to them, then it's fantastic. He wrote back to me And so they wrote back to me the next day and said I had to wait till my husband got home. She goes, my husband's younger sibling died 11 years old from cystic fibrosis. And when we got married, we made a commitment and a covenant together that for the rest of our lives, we'd raise $1,000 a year for cystic fibrosis research to end the disease. We've never hit the goal, never. And I've never had an employer care about it. And I'm thinking, wow, like that is amazing. Now I'm on this journey of what causes people to stay with companies, what causes them to be committed to growth, what causes them to do these things. And it's not saying to our team members, hey, can we all work harder because I'd like to buy myself a jet or a yacht? That doesn't really motivate people. Say, let's keep doing what we're doing so we can make an impact. So I said, hey, why don't you do this? Every year you're with us, our organization. We'll just keep doubling whatever we give to end cystic fibrosis. How about that? I didn't do the math. That's quite a lot of money. The longer they're with us, but I'm like, so what? It's actually massive impact into a positive, something that's causing positive change, and it transforms somebody's heart, and they're saying, I'm willing to stick around here and be a part of the company growth. So what I want to share here is this. I can really talk more about this story, some of the great examples and stories of how this impacts growth and retention of people. But number one is make generosity practical by giving to your people first. Don't underpay your team members and then give all the money away. It won't go down very well. So pay market rate or above, not below, and then brag about generosity. Next is give to the things that your team members care about. Before, whoever owns your company or the executives and partners in your business, before you give to the things they care about, they get leftovers. Okay? Give first to what your team members care about. Pay them well and give to the things they care about. It will massively impact retention of people. If your generosity strategy, most organizations give to not-for-profits and things that are making a difference. Writing big checks, and there's big checks that people stand up for the photo ops. That's happening all the time. 98% of high net worth families in the United States give, and they give primarily to the communities they live in. All I'm saying is be more strategic about your generosity and disperse it around the things that your team members care about, and they'll stick around a lot longer. And they'll be willing to go above and beyond if they know it's not just for the pockets of somebody at the top. Okay, so really big here. One of the things for us, we've made a commitment in this decade, $30 million is our goal. We want to give to transform communities to the greater good. That's in and through our people and to the things, causes and things that they care deeply about. So we have a goal. We're already 43% of the way there, 3 years into the decade, which is really encouraging. So one of the things we do is we took a whole company down to Mexico to build homes. I had the privilege of going down there with my family. It transformed the way we view how we can serve and help. And I thought, let's bring the whole company. And then we brought some of our customers on the trip last fall, and we've committed to doing it every year. Take customers with us rather than sort of just kind of giving Super Bowl tickets or whatever it is companies do. Let's actually make a difference together so that we know that our life will count. At the end of our days, we can say we didn't just make a living, but we actually did good in our work that we were doing. So partnership for us, we're a for-profit, for-good organization, always looking for things that our team members and our clients care about, and we give to those things. Fun story, we had a long-standing client of ours, and they're in the very great company, great brand. You'd all know of them, but they asked us for a discount after working for years with them, and I said, sure, what kind of discount do you want? They told me that what they were hoping, and I said, great, is there a not-for-profit in your area that you care about as an organization? And they said, yeah, we actually care about the Veterans Homes of Southeastern Wisconsin. So it gives you an idea. They're in Southeastern Wisconsin. And I said, sure. I said, why don't we give the discount that you're asking for to them, so we can build homes for these veterans who don't have homes, and we'll make sure that you sleep better tonight, and so do I, and so do they. You know, I understand, total cheeky response. They were hoping for a discount, they didn't get one, but our partnership is doing good. So that's what gets us going, and makes our team members really thoroughly happy to do the work they're doing and serving companies with their talent strategy, recruitment, hiring, engagement, retention, development. Like, that's our jam. But the reason we do it and the reason we're motivated by this is this whole sense of a deeper purpose. And it causes us to have a very, very high retention of team members and a highly performing organization, because everybody knows the bigger reason why we're doing it. So if you can really communicate the deeper purpose and tie it to what they're passionate about, your team members are passionate about, you'll run circles around your competition or others that you're trying to win business over. And so I love the freedom that we have here in the States to create and craft business that can make an impact. And that's exactly what we've done. So I'm going to hand over to Ben here in a second. But please do, if you have questions on this, I know it's just surface scratching here. And for a much longer talk that I just did this in Minneapolis and had over an hour to talk to a whole bunch of human resource leaders and executives. But I'll leave you with this guide. You can hit the QR code here for our generosity guide if you're thinking, yeah, I want to know more about this. If you'd like more information on this richer talk, you can certainly download the guide and will reach out to me. There's at the end of our time here together in the next 20 minutes, there'll be another QR code where you can sort of follow up and got a killer deal and a killer offer for you. But I'm gonna hand over to you, Ben Murphy. Tell us how we create these high-performing teams.
Awesome. Excited to get meet with everybody here today. For us, my portion of this is really to tell you what we do at Titus for our own company. You can steal and use anything we do, but this is what we do for ourselves, and we love to do these similar things with our partners. And so let's dive into it. And so we started this process. I kind of start this off with this story is 4 or 5 years ago, we'd go to all these HR conferences, and we'd have this game where they had to throw a ping pong ball into the bucket that most applied to what was the number one priority of their hiring strategy. And is it speed, cost, or quality? And it was 97% of people said quality. Okay. But when we asked them what takes the most, what kind of is the biggest pressure in this process, then it was like 80% speed, 20% cost, and quality wasn't the pressure in the discussions behind the scenes. And they all agreed that a lot of times quality gets dropped when they're trying to have a hiring process that's going to hire well. And my presentation is about the first chapter is we got to get the right people on the bus. We want to avoid the hidden regret, right? Where speed or cost takes over the process, and you have a lot of hidden regret and delayed issues because you got the wrong person in the wrong seat. And so I'm going to dig into that here of what we do to prioritize it. At Titus, we believe there's 4 steps that we follow when we're hiring for ourselves or with one of our partners. We call it the seat, the search, the selection, and the solution. And so I'm going to walk through some key elements of that as we move forward here. And so when we're defining the right person in the right seat, we need to have a methodology for us evaluating that type of fit. And so we call that the head, the heart, and the briefcase. People are going to be successful in your organization for certain reasons, and you need to understand what those reasons are. And when they show up the first day at the job, they're not just walking in as a resume. The whole person is walking into your building. And so we want to know what that fit is before we make that decision. And so for us, we use a tool called Predictive Index to really understand the behavioral and cognitive traits of the person that we're interviewing versus what we're looking at scientifically, what is validated data show is a more ideal behavioral and cognitive traits to allow someone to be successful in certain roles. And so we bring that science into our equation because hiring and interviewing can be challenging. And so we want that data point in that process. Now, from a heart standpoint, I could go hire the best person in the country, right? That has all the perfect resume, perfect behavioral traits, but they don't align with your core, or they don't align with the wanted level. They don't really want your role. There's going to be hidden regret and issues quickly in that scenario. And so we want to interview and assess where that's at in the interview process. And the briefcase is looking at what does this person's resume look like? What are the things they've accomplished? What skills and competencies have they acquired over their work history? What's their achiever pattern? And so we take all three of these data points to think about the role and then interview the candidates in an objective manner as possible in making sure quality is the number one thing that we're assessing in this process, okay? And so aligning individuals and teams to each other and the company, all right? So we talked about using head, heart, briefcase from an evaluation of quality. Now we have these people in our organization. How are we aligning these people to the business, and how are we aligning them within the teams? And this is really, really critical. Jonathan's talking about the generosity piece, and he is absolutely amazing at aligning these things for our business to have really high retention for someone that's in the recruiting industry. And so the first thing I want to look at here is when you take a picture, right? If you take a picture of a group of people, what's the first thing they look at? They look at themselves in that picture. They need to see how they fit into your business. And so we talk a lot about what's your 3-year picture. In the individuals, right? If they're going to be aligned to the organization, they need to see how they fit in the picture of the business. Okay. And so when we're attracting people and we want to get A players, we're known for trying to attract and bring A players to our partners. We need to know what are the things around stretch, growth, and impact that are going to, A players are going to see that in the roles and the value propositions you're providing to the market, but they're going to want to join your organization. Now, once you get those people on your team, they want to see how that stretch, growth, and impact plays out over the next 3 years. So they're deeply rooted and encouraged and excited to be a part of your mission as an organization. And so when we're doing hiring, we focus on this. But when we're doing our conversations with our employees on a consistent basis, we're also talking about those same things on a consistent manner. So we're on the same page with our teammates. Now, we talked about head, heart, and briefcase for hiring. We take those same exact key factors and use those for making sure our people are understanding how they're wired, what's their current state, what do they need to do to get to the next step in that stretch, growth, and impact? How can they develop? Are they aware of their common behavioral traits? Okay. And how that's impacting their success in their role. Where are they at with value alignment? Where are they at with that motivation level? And where are they at in developing and continuously developing skills and competencies? So Vistage as a leadership organization says the number one trait of a successful CEO is self-awareness. So we're always trying to communicate and encourage and have dialogue with our people of understanding where their current state is and where they want to go. Okay. So that is huge. We want to have that type of development and holistic development across that head, heart, briefcase. Simultaneously, you want to encourage great relationships. Great relationships start with empathy, and they need to understand each other, right? So your employees, the teams that you're working with, they need to understand the behavioral traits of themselves, but their teammates' behavioral traits quickly so they can really work and interact in an effective manner and cut out some of the drama, cut out some of the ineffectiveness, get that productivity levels really, really high. Now, that's in a one-to-one scenario of peer awareness. We also want to understand how we're constructing our teams. Are our teams built to increase productivity, or do we have all sorts of people in a team that are wired the exact same way, and we're lacking some of that diversity of thought to get the highest level of productivity and growth in the organization? And so we challenge ourselves and we challenge our partners to be like, do you understand your people, and do they understand the teams they're in? And do you have the right teams built for the right reasons? And so we go through that process to make sure we're well aware of that alignment. I label this as the secret sauce. Okay. And how do you get people aligned to the business? That's this this chapter is they need to understand the mission. All right. Jonathan speaks about the Titus mission with our employees at least once a month. He is echoing that mission statement. People have to be bought into our mission statement. Part of our mission statement is generosity and impact, right? So it's a heartwarming human element piece that helps drive the mission. But people understand and know what our mission is at all times. Okay. That helps get that alignment back to the business. They're not just a bunch of individuals. They really feel like they're part of a bigger team and organization, and they're proud to be a part of that organization. Then there's the values, right? If you hired for values, it's a part of the heart portion. You have to consistently coach to values. And so in our organization, every 90 days, our managers and employees are talking about values and value alignment. Every single week, we are shouting out in our small team or large organization meetings, people living and breathing our values and examples of that. People need to understand that this is really, really important. And we have an intentional culture. And that intentional culture is built around those value alignment pieces. It not only gets the right people on the bus and they're there and they're aligned for the right reasons, but it creates this really, really strong positive momentum that you want happening in your organization. Okay. And the last part here is the lens. Okay. At Titus, we talk about our decision-making lens. How we view things is it's people, it's our people who will do great work if they're taken care of for our partners. And if we do great work for our partners, we'll have profits. Okay. Now, that's exactly how we make decisions as we are trying to grow and strategize and do our business. And so when we communicate to our people what are our decisions, what are our next steps, they know that the people, partner, profits lens helps us make those decisions. And there's a trust factor there. And I think if you want people bought in, there has to be trust in how you're making decisions in moving the organization forward. And the last part of this is a leadership, accountability, and performance. Okay. And so a lot of organizations, LMA, this is a struggle, right? We actually train and help our partners with different elements of this when they're trying to develop those emerging leaders and senior leaders. And so a lot of organizations I see struggle with this. One, they have not made it a priority. So they don't even know, the managers at these organizations do not know that there's such a priority in developing retention and developing productivity. The executives have sometimes chosen not to invest in this. And so there's not the time, space, or resources to be good at leadership and accountability. And then flat out, you got an inefficient, non-optimized organization, and you're losing $7 trillion in work productivity across the United States because of these issues. And so we really challenge people to put a format in place that's going to help drive greater performance, right? I think the part of what we do at Titus, our goal is to have this great people first culture and a lot of positive energy, but that's nothing if you're not also performing and being highly productive. And so you have to blend the two together to really get where you want to get as an organization. And so a couple of things that we look at from expectation settings when you're looking at performance and productivity and good leadership, do your people have performance goals? Like, do you have a scoreboard? Do they know what being an A player means in the organization? And so in my longer presentation that some of you might have seen at conferences, I really dig into the performance profile. So when we're hiring someone, we're developing a performance profile so they know the performance goals when we start, and they know the performance goals after they're hired and how we're moving forward. And so we really want to outline what performance looks like and have that communication. Okay. And for us, we do that communication. We have weekly same page meetings, and we have quarterly conversations with our employees. So we're always assessing, where are we at on the scoreboard? Are we accomplishing these goals? What strategies are working? What strategies aren't working? Where are we inefficient, right? I coached college football for 10 years. If I didn't have a scoreboard, when we went in at halftime, what would I be talking about, right? I don't know where we stand in this game. So I don't know what strategies, adjustments I need to make without it. And so a lot of organizations kind of just float. They really don't have that set up with their people. The people feel like they're floating. The business can be floating. It's not highly productive. And so we really encourage that. Now, in the day-to-day, we see a lot of inefficiencies on expectations on who owns what. So we run on EOS. Some of your organizations may run on EOS, but we know who owns our goals. We know who owns our daily to-dos. We have due dates, milestones on that, and there's accountability on a daily and weekly basis of what needs to get done by when, by whom. That doesn't always happen in organizations. And so just little things as you're developing managers and leaders of really articulating to-dos and due dates can be a step up in your development. And I already talked about the teams and projects, like really understanding who owns what and when helps with accountability and leadership development. And I talked to this a little bit, but this is part of the executives investing in leadership and accountability, is providing space in everyone's goals and time that they can connect with their managers to be on the same page. And so at Titus, that's a weekly one-on-one. That's that typically 45 to 60-minute quarterly conversation every quarter to really go through goals, head, heart, briefcase, development, and really are we aligned on their stretch, growth, and impact, compensation, career pathing, all that. We touch base and try to keep an open door, two-way conversation. And then creating annual events. We have annual events where this past year we took our whole company to Mexico to build homes. Next year we're going to do something where it's more about people development. And then we do things around partner feedback, experiential growth, and commitment. And so we really try to maintain these different touch points to grow through connectivity. We're 100% remote mobile culture, right? And so we build this out. And when we have crazy high retention in an industry, I really feel like these things help drive those results.
Cool. Great. Thanks so much for being here. We wanted to give as much time as possible. If there are questions, we can have some dialogue around it. Anything that I shared at the beginning half, Ben just unpacked here. I'm going to put in chat as well a book that I wrote. This is not a plug for book sales. It's just to let you know we really have a whole guide on what we call originally in our company called Hire for Performance, which is the whole reason we hire people, that they would achieve or accomplish something. So performance is right up there. I am a huge fan of great company culture and intentional cultures that we can create. I think that's really, really, really important, especially if you want to be a destination employer. But let's remember the reason we hire people is so they get a job done. So we want to be really clear on the performance objectives and then tie in everything Ben just shared as well. If you want to really unpack it or get the audio book, you are welcome to right there. I just put it in chat. There's a link to the Amazon book there. But we're open up for some Q&A, but also we did ask some of you, well, we asked everybody, if you have questions that you know of coming into this, we can answer those as well. But please do make this interactive. If you want to challenge something, if you want to ask questions about something, if you want to go into get the most out of this, please feel free to add in the Q&A section or in chat. You can do it there as well if you'd rather. So the QR code that's on the screen, I just want to explain what that is all about. Our risk-free trial. I think a lot of companies come to us because they go, yeah, I understand I can do it. I can do hiring. Most companies have some hiring that they do on their own. But when you want somebody to go and do all the dirty work, or an expert to kind of find people that you can't find on your own, or help the entire process because you haven't got the resources or time to do that, or your internal recruiting team just are too stretched at this point, any number of reasons why we work with companies. Like I said, there's about 2,000 companies that we are in our sort of portfolio of partners of our organization that we love serving. the QR code will give you what we're calling a risk-free trial. Like literally, let's give us some things that you would really like to have the heavy lifting done by us, and we can show you our process. We deeply believe in knowledge transfer. We're a training company as well as a recruitment company. We're a talent strategy company in which we are open with all of our resources. We don't want people to be forever beholden to us, but equipped to make the best attraction, hiring, engagement, development decisions all on their own. So we are opening all of that up to our clients and partners. On the QR code here, I just explained, there's a first checkbox is for executive search if you need some help with executive search and hiring. Fractional recruiting for key roles, meaning we partner with organizations for a certain length of time to handle a whole bunch of their hiring and recruitment and talent acquisition. And that can be a great flexible add-on to your team. Talent optimization of the predictive index, if you're wanting to understand your teams and how they work well together, or where some of the blind spots are, we have a team session on that, or we can actually implement the predictive index at your organizations. We're a licensed partner to do that. Learning and development, as in you need to train managers to be better hirers, better interviewers, better get teams working well together, understand creating cultures of trust and great feedback. That's all about there. If you want this generosity playbook and you missed the QR code earlier, we'll get that to you. Or if you want to have a schedule a call with Ben or myself, you can check box there. And lastly, this risk-free trial. Like, hey, I'm interested in it. I want to know more. We can schedule some time to talk about how we can do that for you. Our commitment was that we would show up here today and show you what we do, how we do it, and why we do it, and explain kind of some of those details. But throwing it over some questions right now. One of the questions came in: how can organizations effectively find and attract star talent in rural areas, especially in the era of remote work? And what strategies can they employ to retain top talent when facing increased competition beyond their local vicinity? Wow, you want to tackle that one, Ben?
Yeah, I'll talk about the rural. Like, we have certain scenarios that happen in the recruiting process where you either have a very limited talent pool, or the organization that's hiring has a challenge to meet the compensation competitive factors in this process. And so we call it a multi-funnel recruitment process. And so we'll target both the perfect candidate that has the head, the heart, and the briefcase. So their experience level is awesome, the 10 years, etc. And we can very specifically target and recruit that person over, but typically the compensation will not be for a lateral move. You're going to have to pay that person 10% more to potentially have them in the process. So if you're in a rural area or a competitive market, you know that you're more of that true free agent style. Simultaneously, we'll recruit more of the draft and develop type of person, where we look at the candidate pool going, we can provide stretch and growth and impact to an individual that maybe we were thinking we needed someone 7 to 12 years of experience. But if we could look at a more wider branch of people with like 2 to 4 years experience, but using the head and the heart assessment, they're really aligned well for this field and this role. They're a great value and motivation heart fit. They're a little light there, but wow, we can offer them this opportunity. They'll have tons of stretch growth and impact, and we won't have to pay above market dollars for that person. So we like to target both sides of that target pool, and then get the most candidates that are potential options into the interviews, and then make the decision from that area. And so that's the reality. We will help relocate people to organizations. It's just, you're going to quadruple the volume of people that you recruit if you have to relocate them to a rural area, which is fine. That's part of what we do. Is just, it's a little bit more of a drawn out process.
I'm just going to add to that. I think it's great, Ben. Ben said something earlier about people when we look at a photograph, we all do this. We look for ourselves first and look to see us in the picture. How do I look? And then we kind of zoom out and look at the rest of it. The future of your organization, and this goes for this question of rural areas, or it doesn't really matter in a metro area. It's really important that people see how they fit into the future of your organization. Whether you're acquiring talent, you're trying to recruit talent or attract talent, it's important that they see how they're going to fit in, not just day one, but the future. And the key here actually goes into the next question, which is how can a business focus on talent acquisition and engagement or retention of talent, especially when you've got limited resources. The really important part is when you lose people, they're typically leaving for career growth opportunity. Typically, they're not just going for more money. Typically, A players are going because they see a better future trajectory for their career. They're getting to do work that they enjoy and it meets all of their needs. So paint that picture for your employees today. If you're sitting on here and you are an employee yourself, the question would be, what does my future look like at this organization? What will I be doing here in 2 or 3 years down the road? So start thinking kind of the 3-year photograph, the trajectory picture for people. That's the best way to attract people, and you'll avoid counter offers if you do that. Because when somebody goes to resign and they go, I'm leaving to go to ABC company, most A players get the response, what can we do to get you to stay? And we think money. It's not money. It's career growth and trajectory. I mean, if you don't have that, it will be a money fight. You just have to pay for it. But I think Ben mentioned something I think is really going to unpack that future picture. People have to see how they fit in it. Otherwise, they'll leave today, but not because they can't see what's happening tomorrow.
Oh, that's good. Jonathan, I see Bonnie had a question here. Bonnie, a couple ideas on. So Jonathan shares our mission every month with our organization. We believe heavily in transparency, so we kind of do a monthly transparency on the results of the organization the previous month. So it's natural. We start with our mission statement. We go through all the details of kind of results and where everything's at with the organization. On the value side, we turn them into shout outs. So we actually say, hey, shout out some of your teammates that you saw live those values. And so we go around the room. This is in a virtual setting, but we're shouting out people for those value examples in all of our small team and large team meetings. And then we do value awards. So we actually have people vote on who lived out the values in the organization, and we actually hand out awards annually at our annual retreat for those. So there's a couple. That's how we handle it. Jonathan might have some thoughts too.
Yeah, one more is you get a kick out of this because I think I've never heard anyone do this outside of us, but we teach it as a great process. How do you hire people who are value aligned? It's easy to go and say, our values are integrity. We have a value of integrity. Do you have integrity? Oh, yes, I have integrity. Oh, good. We should hire you then. All right. It's not really so much the word, it's actually what that looks like in a behavior. What are the behavioral traits of living out that value? And so I have the privilege of traveling a lot in my life. I think I've been to 45 different countries so far. And you could take a word like integrity, and I'm like, we could all agree that integrity is important, but it looks very different as I've traveled the world. And so everyone has their own definition of that, of what it looks like. You hear things like white lies. Well, I don't think there are such things as white lies. I think they're called lies. So my definition is tell the truth. So if that aligns with our organization, which it is one of our definitions of integrity, to be honest, ethically unwavering, and inspiring trust. It's not a dictionary definition, but now we want to hire people who live that out. So one of the things that we do is we ask every single applicant, no matter what position it is, to reach out to 2 or 3 people at our company. This is during the interview process. Go online, find whoever you want to reach out to, do your own research, and we ask the candidate to interview just for 10 or 15 minutes our employees around the values that the candidate finds most important to them. So we have here are our core values. They choose the ones that mean most to them, and then they reach out to some of our employees and interview them. One of the great things about this is they're looking to see if their definition of that value aligns with our employees' definition. And also it brings this great bond of connection before somebody even arrives. And we ask them to write up their interview notes and send them in. So it's multifaceted. We get to see their writing style. We get to see their initiative. We figure out who they picked and why they picked that person. And lastly, do their values align with our values and vice versa? So if you are wanting to hire for core value alignment or fit, make some part of your interview process very focused on that and make sure it gets you what you want to get out of it. I think it's really, really important. So it's another way we can talk about values right from the very, very beginning, that it's not an afterthought, but it's actually a very strategic forethought in the interview process. So whole section on that in my book as well, on the value alignment and how to interview for value alignment. All right, next question here is, what are the most effective strategies for proactively building a pipeline of A players in advance of the need to hire them? And how can organizations successfully maintain a bench of talent, ensuring that these individuals remain engaged and prepared for future roles within the company? Quick answer is hire Titus and we'll do it for you. So no, that's I'll let Ben tackle this one.
Yeah, I would say there's a couple things here. One, recruiting A players is about building relationships and creating that value proposition of why they'd be interested in your organization. You may not have openings all the time for those people, but you want to start that conversation. And so as part of your talent strategy, right, 40% of your recruitment should be passive candidates. 40% can be active candidates, and typically 20% are employee referrals. So of those people from that bucket, right, and some of you might say, whoa, I don't have that type of ratio. That's what we encourage. I want to be talking to all of these people on a more consistent basis, right? So you have resources out, and then you got to drip market to them, even if you don't have the openings, right? And so creating, just like you might have drip marketing to your customers or prospects, you can create drip marketing around things. And then I would incorporate video. If you go on the Titus Talent YouTube, we have some amazing videos that helps display our culture, our organization, our mission. And so use videos to help tell the stories in your marketing to bring people into your recruitment funnels long term.
I love that. I mean, if I was a smaller organization, I might put the challenge out to and start recording this. I would say to each one of the hiring managers, hey, every week or every month or every other week, connect with somebody who you would find interesting to talk to add to your team in the next year or two. And I just think, just go and do that and report on it. And we'll have a talent pool discussion, or everyone gets to submit them and you're like, oh, interesting, you reached out to that person. That's just constantly networking with great people. Janine, you wrote banter in there. In the chat, I actually don't know what banter is. I don't know if you're able to come off mute, but maybe you could explain banter to me. Best alternative to a negotiate. Okay, I Googled it and that's the one I came up with, but I wasn't sure if that was it. All right, there you go. That's right. Always looking plan B. Having a backup plan for these things. It is interesting. There's another comment about smaller companies. How do you retain valuable talent when you're going through a flat time, or maybe you've had to lay some people off? Those are really nerve-wracking times. This has been a very interesting year for a lot of organizations. But doing more with less is tough. I get it. But sometimes we have to look at what is in our hand versus what we don't have in our hand. And so you have resources, you have creativity, you have people on your teams, literally, who would be wooed away because of a new challenge. And all you have to do is give them the challenge right now today. So is there anyone in our organization who's not in recruiting or not wired this way, who would love to be a part of networking and building a pipeline of great talent for, when we rebound and come in stronger? Like, wow, okay. Somebody might go, I'll do that. I'll put a couple of hours a week into that. Now, for us, we know it on average takes us about 100 hours from start to finish to recruit a real critical A player senior role. It takes us about that much time on average. And so I don't know how companies have the resources to do that when everyone's so stretched thin. Obviously, that's why we exist as a company, to help companies do this stuff. But you can look at what you do have as far as resources, talent, and skills internally, and reprogram them for a portion of their role to go and identify great talent. I'm just trying to see if there are any other questions here. Okay, in a small and rapidly growing firm, how can we effectively define and create opportunities for professional growth and development, especially for new hires looking to expand their career within the company? I think this is probably one of the, if you can figure out the answer to this, and I'll tell you what we do, but if you can figure out the answer to this, you'll reduce your turnover. I say this in a I don't mean to be threatening, but I'm like, hey, if you've got great talent, they're fair game to us and our clients if you're not a partner of ours. But our team are always out there trying to woo people away. And I'll tell you how we train our recruiters to ask this one question. Hi, would you be open to exploring a career move if it was truly superior? Like, it's not a trick question, but it's a, would you be open to exploring? Would you be open to a dialogue about something that was truly superior? Well, the obvious question there is, well, what does truly superior mean? Well, what does it mean to the candidate? What does it mean to an individual? What does it mean to an employee? And for every one of you listening here today, would you consider leaving your current company to discuss an opportunity if it seemed truly superior? Well, yeah, 8 out of 10 say yes to that, including everyone here on the call. So if that's the case, figure out what the next thing is that's truly superior and work out, can you get it in your current company? And in the same way I just described that, you need to apply that to all of your employees, starting with your leaders and your A players and the greatest influencers in your organization. If you're not asking that question of your employees, somebody else will, and it will probably be one of our recruiters at Titus. We're going to be coming after you people. But that's what we do. We don't recruit any of our clients, don't worry. So if you're one of our clients and you're on here today, at ease. If you're not, that's one of the things that we have. There are armies of people out there, really good headhunters, who are wooing candidates away, not by going, I got a job and you ever get those terrible in-mail messages from recruiters like, you look like a perfect fit for this job opening I have. And I'm always like, ridiculous. You're not even, how do you know I'm a perfect fit? There's so much more to a perfect fit than what's on paper. So it's really wooing people for the next greatest and best thing that's going to help them on their journey and their career growth and trajectory. So map that out for your employees, and boy, your turnover drop down dramatically. So, okay, let's see if we got any more questions on here. I think we're sitting open. We got a spot here, a couple of minutes left. If you have a question burning on there and you want to ask it, go for it. Stick it in the Q&A section or in chat. If not, hit the QR code. Let us know how you would like us to interact with you from here on out so we don't bug you. We certainly want to be a help and equip you with great resources, and whatever is ours in our arsenal, it's yours. We love knowledge transfer and sharing with people to help them become better. But if that is all, we will sit around here and smile at each other, Ben and I will, and you're ready to go for the rest of your day. All right, cool. Thanks, Janine. Privileged to serve you. 4th hire coming, huh? That's great. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.